Yo, it's finally time for me to design something other than shoes.
This can't be.
Today, my brothers and sisters, we are designing my very first digital artwork. I'm gonna do my very best to walk you guys through everything, from what products and apps I use, to the specific techniques and brushes. Now let's get started drawing my very first digital artwork. Before I decided to do digital art, I was actually painting custom shoes and doing commissions for my clients, but I wanted to expand both my skills as an artist but also my art business as a whole. So that's why I decided to finally have a go at digital artwork. My style has always been anime and manga, so of course this artwork is also gonna be an anime or manga design, however you decide to phrase it. I used some of the money I had saved up from my last year's art commissions and bought an iPad Pro 11 first generation. I bought it used and it was actually a pretty sweet deal, since I also got the first generation Apple Pen with the iPad. It does have a scratch on the screen, but nothing that really interferes with the function or display of the iPad itself. I got it at a pretty good price of around 440 euro. Converted, I think it's around $490. So here are the prices for all you pocket watchers out there. When I first got the iPad, I immediately downloaded Adobe Illustrator. I'm not trained or used to this software at all, but I've heard a lot of great things about it and I decided to try it out. I fooled around in it before, but I was only using mouse and keyboard back then. But at the same time, I've also heard people criticize Illustrator for its lack of features on the iPad itself. But I think it's pretty good so far. A lot of people have recommended apps like Procreate, Photoshop, Krita, and Clip Studio Paint. I actually used Clip Studio Paint in the past. I did these designs in that software actually. But the problem with most of these softwares, according to my research, is that you cannot do vector art. Only raster apparently. Vector art is very important if you ever want to print out your artwork for either posters or clothing designs. Because apparently vectors can be upscaled and downscaled to almost any size without any issues or decline in quality of the designs. You cannot do the same with raster art since it's pixels. The artwork will just become pixelated. But now, for the artwork, I already had in mind what kind of design I wanted to create. Yuta Okkotsu from Jujutsu Kaisen. Ever since the JJK Zero movie, I just thought he was so cool, bro. I found this image of him and I think it's from one of Gege Akutami's color pages. I decided to use it as an underlay to trace it. My first digital artwork is not just gonna be some traced art. Come on, dog, you know who you're talking to. It's more for the outlines and scaling. I want my art style to be, of course, based upon the anime and manga characters I like, but I also want to put my own spin on it. You see, I might only be talking about anime and painting anime shoes on the channel right now. I'm actually a pretty big fan of streetwear, and I also want to get better at implementing that into my content. The whole reason to why I do custom shoes in the first place is actually because I love streetwear so much. I was never really able to find the shoes or clothing I thought were cool, so I basically just started designing it myself. Maybe I'll do some more streetwear focused content on my channel in the future. Let me know if you people want to see any of that. So for my digital artwork, it's gonna be inspired by streetwear I like or would like to wear myself. To start off, I decided to give Yuta a puffer jacket and some oversized denim jeans. This is like the basic streetwear fit for fall and winter season, if you ask me at least. You can never go wrong with these essentials. Honestly, drawing denim jeans was a new challenge that made me realize I don't draw real life clothing enough. I had to use my own oversized denim jeans as a reference. But of course, that isn't wear stuff. I've always loved and been a fan of the iconic Jordan shoe. With their clean, sleek design, you can really pair them with almost any fit, whatever the season. But instead of giving him just the usual Jordan 1s, mid or lows, I thought, let me cook up my own thing. So I drew some inspiration from the original Jordan 1s and came up with my own shoe design. I changed their outlining and the layout. To understand this shoe design, I think I might need to give you a quick breakdown of Yuta's character. Yuta's story began when he was just a child. He was hospitalized due to an illness. There he met his first love, Rika. They spent most of their time together, even after they both got out of the hospital. They also made a promise to get married once they both got older. Sadly, Rika was involved in a tragic car accident, resulting in her early death. And Yuta accidentally cursed her soul and subconsciously chained her soul to himself, causing her to turn into a vengeful cursed spirit who continued to haunt him for the next 5 years. Until she was released from the curse, of course. Remembering that story helped me figure out a design for the shoes. Instead of a Nike swoosh or a New Balance logo, I added a broken heart symbolizing Yuta's connection to Rika. Their souls are bound, but their love is twisted and broken. Both due to her early death, but also because she's bound to him unintentionally at first. On the typical Air Force Ones, there's this engraved or outpopping text that says air. And I got inspired by that, but I also decided to take it a step further. I added these ropes and nuts symbolizing weddings in East Asian culture, if I'm not mistaken. Again, tying back to Yuta's origin story of the promised wedding. You get that? Tying back? Because they're tied together, nuts. They're... never mind. Until recently, I called these shoes True Love sneakers. But one of my followers on TikTok asked me, why don't you call them Love Airs? Like lover, but Love Air. And I'm not gonna hold you, bro. This name is absolutely goated. So yeah, shout out to you, bro. If you're watching this, I might go with that name officially instead. Yuta's curse technique is copy. So he can basically duplicate and perform any curse technique as long as he fulfills certain conditions. In the first movie, he copies Inumaki's cursed speech. And it also becomes a permanent technique to his arsenal. But when he first uses it, he has to use a megaphone. This is something I've always wanted to design ever since I saw it. The Inumaki clan's cursed megaphone collabed with Supreme. Supreme released their megaphone back in 2021, I think. I actually thought it was 2017, but apparently not. It appears to be waterproof, and if you ask me, it's almost like a relic to the whole Supreme streetwear era. Man, what a time it was. Supreme and JJK never made this collab, so of course I had to make this crossover happen myself. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. I added some jewelry to Yuta as well. At first I went with this normal wedding ring, but that simply just didn't look as drippy as I hoped. So I changed the ring to be the head of Rika's cursed spirit form. And yeah, I think it looks way better now. Coloring this design was probably the most challenging part. For Yuta's colors, I wanted to keep it as close to the original as possible. So I just kept his jacket white and tried not to go with a normal gray for the shadows. I went with this blue mix of gray, and instead of just his usual black pants, I went for dark gray. I normally use a 3-layer method for coloring. I make a base layer, then a shaded layer, and lastly I do a deeply shaded layer to really define the creases and details. This helps bring my illustrations so much more to life. I think I learned this technique when I was painting shoes, and I just thought I might as well apply it to my digital art designs. The sneakers were my favorite part to color though. I went with a pretty basic color palette though, dark gray and white mostly, but the hearts on the sneakers, I went for pink to represent Yuta's cursed energy. I did choose a more faded pink instead of his usual bright or deep pink, since I thought it just looked way better with a more subdued color palette. His sword was also kind of difficult to knock down, since I used many layers and shades of gray to really make his sword pop. Hey yo, making his sword pop is crazy. Rika was the easiest part of the coloring process, since she's mostly just gray and white. But doing all her spots were pretty tedious, I'm not gonna lie. And with this, we're basically done with the whole design. Or so I thought, because I decided to fool around with the different brushes, and look at this, bro. Oh! What do you mean I found this sexy ass brush when I was finally done with the whole design? Oh my god, I'm asleep. So of course, I did what every sane person would do, and I redid the whole outlining. Telling you guys I almost punched a hole through my screen would be an understatement. But I basically just got back to work. Apparently this brush is called the blob brush. I used the standard paintbrush at first, but this one has these pointy edges to it, and it auto creates this thickness but maintains its smoothness at the same time. So I actually think it was the right choice to redo the whole outlining. Like Jesus, look at this. Oh my god, I'm about done. But yeah, using the blob brush really gave the illustration a much more lively touch to it. It carries way more personality and character now, almost kind of giving this graffiti street art vibe. I love it, bro. Thank you so much for watching the video of my very first digital artwork to the end, almost. I hope this video gave you a little insight into my whole creative process of my artworks. Even though this was my very first digital artwork, I think it turned out pretty well. I'll show you people the final results in a minute. Don't worry, just want to let you people know that I'm doing my very first digital art print drop. And this design you've watched me make is gonna be one of the posters. The print drop is gonna be based on Jujutsu Kaisen, my favorite anime and manga at the moment. And it's gonna include my favorite characters, so both Yuji and Yuta. So if you want to support me, your boy, in any way, or maybe you've just been fiending to own some of my art, well, this is your chance. Also, if you want to follow me along on my journey from creating the artwork from scratch to the finished product, you can go ahead and follow me on Instagram and TikTok, where I basically just document the whole process from start to finish. Whenever I get it made, I will also leave a link in the description for email signups, so you can basically stay updated to whenever I'm dropping these prints. I'll probably only be doing a few since this is my very first print drop, but I guess we'll see. Otherwise, you can also just stay tuned on my channel here. I'm hella excited for this whole project I've started, and I hope you people are as well. I really don't know where this is gonna take me or take us, us being my whole business and my channel. Hopefully it's just the beginning of a new journey or a new factor to my art business. I'm really trying to expand. Anyways, enough yapping, bro. So with that, here is the final look at my very first digital artwork, Yuta Okkotsu. Enjoy!